Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Yolanda Melody. Today I want to talk about how to find your purpose in life. I believe that I can speak very confidently about this topic because I personally have an extremely strong sense of purpose in my life, but it hasn't always been like that. There has been periods of my life where I have been completely lost. I've had no direction. The prospect of thinking about the future, I just didn't even want to acknowledge that. So I know how it feels to be on both polar opposite sides. Most people have this thing that I like to call white picket fence syndrome. You know the American dream, the white picket fence, and how most people try and live by this societal ideal. You go to school, you try and get good grades so that you can go into college or university, then get yourself a moderately decent job that pays well, enough for you to purchase a house, and then you want to get married, have kids, and then what? For so many people, it's at that point, once all of those boxes have been ticked, they look at their life and they have this thing that most people refer to as a midlife crisis, because so many people reach this stage and they discover that it was not what they actually really wanted. They realise that they've built a life for themselves and they've put all of their focus into this, thinking that once they just get to the end of the finish line, they'll be happy. And then they have this complete meltdown and they go to a therapist and the therapist tries to pick apart what exactly is the problem. What the problem is that this example that I gave is an example of what so many people do, which is they are living somebody else's life. Somewhere down the line, a lot of people don't actually realise that their life choices are more guided by other people's opinions and suggestions and advice than their own intuition and what their gut is telling them is their purpose. I'm not saying it's wrong to have kids and get married and have a job and have a house. That's not the criticism. For a lot of people, these are just basic things that you achieve in life or that a human strives for. But what's missing is a sense of purpose. Let's say that you were brought up in a household where your dad is a very successful lawyer, and from a very early age, he decided that he wanted you to follow in his footsteps and do the exact same thing that he did. He's already got your future mapped out. But when you were young, you expressed a lot of interest in art, particularly painting. There was nothing else in this world that you enjoyed as much as you loved painting when you were a child. But after years and years of your dad saying, there's no money in that, the level of competition is just insane, you can't form a career out of painting unless you're incredibly lucky and you're just at the right place at the right time. It's unrealistic. You're not even that talented anyway. There's so many more painters out there that are better. So you go with the safe option, which is you go to Harvard, you get your degree, you become a lawyer. Everyone's really proud of you. Everyone sees you with this huge status, but you still feel like there's something missing. The reason is that you are essentially living somebody else's life. You're going against what you wanted to do. And the situation here is not that being a painter is better than being a lawyer. It's that in this instance, with this example, it's all about whether you're following your own intuition or other people's advice. One thing I want to mention before I go any further is that while this can sometimes feel really overwhelming, I strongly believe that every single person has a unique path. It is never ever too late to start following your intuition and to make an abrupt change in your life that you know your heart is telling you to do. This is what stops so many people, is that they get so far, they get so deep into what feels like a trench of bad mistakes or the wrong decisions. You know, some people get married to the wrong person, some people end up getting a house with that wrong person. Some people have gone to the nth degree to forge a career that they never really wanted. And those people majoritively think, well, I've made my bed, I'm gonna have to lie in it. There is no solution now. I'm too deep in it. So I may as well just stop thinking about my dreams because it's never going to happen. So many people are completely blocked off by doubting demons, right? We all have them, no matter how confident you are, no matter how self-assured you are. Demons be floating around, trying to put doubtful things in your mind. And we're constantly being tested. I get tested so much, all the time. But you have to know that these doubting, crappy thoughts are not real. With the white picket fence syndrome, what I see so clearly is that you get these people that have given into white picket fence syndrome. They've ticked off all the boxes and they're miserable. They got the career, they got the marriage, they got the kids, they got the house, and they feel empty. They go to the pub every night and they get pissed to drown their sorrows. And then what they do is they project their misery onto other people. A lot of the time they project their misery onto their kids and they stop their kids from believing in themselves. And it's terrible to see. You get these parents that are pressurizing their kids to basically make the same neurotic mistake that they made. And often their kid has better aspirations, bigger dreams. They want to take risks in life, but the parents are saying, oh, no, 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 no. You've got to be safe, go with the safe option, become a lawyer. One thing that you have to understand is that if you have something in your heart that you want to do, and this isn't just about a career, this is about your purpose. Why were you put on this earth? If your heart is telling you to do something, but then your brain or someone else's brain is saying, there's a 1 in a million chance of you actually achieving this. The odds are against you, really. I wouldn't even bother. The success rate is so low. Don't listen to it. Because if it was put in your heart, it means that it's meant to be. It's put in your heart because you're supposed to do this. It's part of your purpose. You are not the only person that is running your life. God is running your life. God has already mapped out a plan for you. And all you have to do is just go along with that plan. The level of opposition that I've come against when it comes to my aspirations and what I want to do with my life, it is actually laughable. I wanted to be a music artist so badly, ever since I was a little kid. But not just a music artist, I wanted to be an entertainer. Even to the point where, you guys are going to think this is funny, right? So, I was like 5, and I used to get one of those little rubber rings, you know, that you put in the paddling pool. And I had one, and I would like put the ring like this around my face, and I'd be like, it's the Yolanda show. YouTube didn't even exist back then, but something in my psyche was telling me, I want a show. This is another thing, right? You want to think back to as far back as young as you can think. You want to think about what your consciousness was like when you were a child. Like between the age of 0 to 5, before you went to school, because school is an indoctrination camp. And I remember ever since I was little, I wanted to entertain people and I wanted to help people. I wanted to just bring a ball of light into the room. And sometimes that would be through performance, and sometimes it would just be being nice to people. If you ask anyone, I was a very peculiar child. I grew up into a very peculiar person. But the more that I connect with that child version of myself, the more I know that I am 100% on my purpose. See, if you're asking yourself, how do I find my purpose? You already know. You already know what your purpose is. The problem is that you can't hear it because your mind is being clouded by all these negative, crappy other people's opinions who are simply projecting their insecurities onto you. They don't even realize that they're doing it. I mean, some of them do. Some of them just want to make you feel shit. But most of the time, people aren't even aware that they're just projecting their insecurities onto other people. I remember in school, I knew that there was absolutely no point in me participating at all because I knew that I would become an entertainer of some sorts. And I would tell people, I'm going to be famous, so I don't need to do this. And a lot of people will criticize my openness about wanting to be famous, but I've always felt it in my heart since I was super duper young, and it's not about being just a celebrity. It's about having the platform to be able to actually send out my message. And even when I was a kid, I always felt like I had this message to send out to people. I wanted to help everyone. I want to make the world a better place than when I came into it, because when I came into it, let me just say, I looked around and I was like, wow, this is fucking awful. Why is everything this way? This is so, it felt icky. I went into school, I saw how it was, and I thought it gave me this awful pit in my stomach, just the negative evilness of some people and the injustice. And I've just always thought it doesn't need to be like this. It can be fixed. But yeah, literally every single person that I say this to about, oh, I'm going to be famous, every single one has laughed. Nearly, actually. Lately, that doesn't actually happen anymore. But when I was younger, yeah, when I said to people that I wanted to be a music artist, so many people said, oh, but there's so many people out there that want to be famous music artists. There's so many people doing it. There's so much competition. And I was just like, yeah, that's irrelevant. Who cares? Because the fact of the matter is that if that's what you want to do in your heart, go for it. See, your purpose isn't just one thing. It's not one occupation for the rest of your life. It's not one particular action. If you boil it down, every single person's purpose on this earth is to help others, one way or another. And all you've got to think is, how would I like to help other people? And it can be multiple things. You can have multiple careers, but the easiest way to find out is to simply look into your heart, cut out all of those voices, and follow it. Because if you don't follow it, you end up like the majority of people who are not at all focused on helping others or their purpose. They're actually completely focused on consuming. And as we know, if you just consume and consume, you will never be full. It just creates perpetual greed. If you look at most people, they're always chasing the next thing to consume. They want to consume media, they want to consume music, they want to consume objects, material possessions, then they want to consume experiences. They want to go on holiday. Now, I'm not criticizing any of those things, but if you're not giving out, if there's no output, you will be depressed. And you'll suffer from addiction, you'll be seeking cheap thrills all the time, your discipline falls apart, because what's the point in being disciplined if there's no purpose? This is where most people are in their life. And I always looked at that way of being and I thought, I never want to be like that. Never. I say this thing to people and so many people take it the wrong way, but I've always had this belief, I am not here to experience the world. I want the world to experience me. Most people take that the wrong way and they think, wow, that's really narcissistic. No, think about it. When you experience the world, you are consuming. You're consuming the experience. But I've always seen it that I was put here for a reason, to give out as much as I physically can. I have this urge to create as much as I can before I die. It's kind of like a real urgent urge. When people say to me, oh, I want to travel the world and I want to go to this country, that country. I've never felt that way. I've always thought, I want to create so many things. I don't even have time for that. Also, when you look at my brand, this was never planned this way. All of my branding is the I and the O because that's the beginning of my name. But it also means I owe, as in I owe things. I owe things to the world. I don't know. Like I say, that wasn't planned, but it's so fitting. And that's another thing about your purpose, is that things will fit into place in a divine order if you are following your purpose. It won't feel like you're climbing a mountain, or even if it does feel like you're climbing a mountain, you'll somehow find the strength to do it. And when you get to the top, there is no better feeling than that. But if you're climbing a mountain that you don't even want to climb, you'll just feel tired. You'll feel exhausted. You'll want to give up. You'll have no motivation because that's not your mountain. This is your mountain. I hope that you enjoyed this video, or at least found it entertaining. Thank you so much to everyone who likes, comments, shares and subscribes. And a special thank you to every single person who donates to this channel. It really does help a great deal. Love you, bye.